Over the course of his glittering career, John Lennon had many bizarre experiences, but for him, this brush with extraterrestrial life was perhaps the weirdest.
Over here, up there, I saw a UFO and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left and then down the river.
The universe is a pretty big place. It's infinitely big, in fact. So it's only normal that every now and then us humans consider the possibility of supernatural presences and extraterrestrial visitations. And so digging through the knowledge that we do have and questioning the knowledge that we don't have, we can't help but wonder that there must be intelligent life outside of this planet. Well, at least that's what the Beatle and Across the Universe writer John Lennon thought, and he even claimed that he once saw a UFO. While Lennon was famously against theism and enjoyed rubbing devout believers up the wrong way with remarks like the Beatles are more popular than Jesus, he did himself make some pretty outlandish and illogical claims in his time. For example, after noticing a pattern with the number 9 throughout his life, Lennon became gradually obsessed with fate and believed there was a supernatural meaning behind the number. In Liverpool, Lennon's first home was at 9 Newcastle Road, Wavertree, an address containing several different 9-letter words. It was here that one of the Beatles' songs featuring the magic number was then written, one after 909. That was something I wrote when I was about 17. I lived at 9 Newcastle Road, remembered Lennon, speaking with David Sheff of Playboy. But then his obsession with the number continued. I was born on the 9th of October, the 9th month in the Chinese calendar. It's just a number that follows me around. But numerically, apparently I'm number 6 or 3 or something, but it's all part of 9. And then later, Lennon wrote the Beatles' classic Revolution 9 after hearing the engineer's testing voice saying, "This is EMI test series number 9. Admittedly, this must have felt a little bit spooky for John Lennon, but for many of us, that is just called a coincidence. But it's nothing on this anecdote that involves John Lennon having a brush with aliens. In 1974, during his notorious Lost Weekend, an 18-month period that was marked by Lennon's romantic interest in May Pang, a production coordinator who worked on Lennon and Yoko's music. After a significant spell of marital issues, Yoko and Lennon then separated, and Lennon embarked on a short-lived relationship with Pang. Lennon would later return to Yoko and lament this period of life. But during this Lost Weekend, Lennon was so convinced that he saw an alien spacecraft of some description that he wrote in the liner notes of his 1974 album Walls and Bridges. But the key part of this all is you need to notice the time of day that he said he saw it. He wrote, "On the 23rd of August 1974 at 9 o'clock, I saw a UFO." This story came at something of a low point in Lennon's life. In 1974, he was heavily consumed with drug and alcohol abuse, but he still insisted that he was very straight at the time of noticing this supposed UFO. When asked about the extraterrestrial visitation by Interview magazine in November 1974, Lennon described what he saw from the window while he was just dreaming around in my usual poetic frame of mind. Lennon said he saw a thing with ordinary light bulbs flashing on and off around the bottom, but one blinking red light on top, around 100 feet away, hovering over an adjacent building. For the skeptics amongst us, Lennon's anecdote could simply be chalked off as a daydreaming fantasy or a hallucination of some sort. However, adding to the validation of the story, Lennon's then girlfriend May Pang also bore witness to the extraterrestrial event. As I walked out onto the terrace, my eye caught this large circular object coming towards us, Pang remembered. It was shaped like a flattened cone, and on top was a large brilliant red light, not pulsating as on any of the aircraft we'd see heading for landing at Newark Airport. When it came a little closer, we could make out a row or circle of white lights that ran around the entire rim of the craft. These were also flashing on and off. There were so many of these lights that it was dazzling to the mind. I guess we'll never know if the anecdote is actually true, but if there's any musician in history who's able to communicate with extraterrestrial beings, it would most likely be John Lennon. If you want more of the best stories from the world of pop culture, don't forget to like and subscribe to Far Out magazine.